We're here live again for is this our fourth week, Angela, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Welcome to Inspirational Lockdown, our fourth week. Can't hardly believe it's been 4 weeks that we've been doing this. Time seems to fly by. Welcome, everybody. I'm Judy K. Martini, your transformational coach and mentor, helping people transform their lives each and every day. And isn't it a pleasure I get to do that? And I also love these live, I was going to say videos, but they're videos, but Facebook videos, but Be Live videos. Because Angela and I have been using this Be Live app for 4 weeks now, and we're still getting used to it. And there's a lot of technological stuff that we're not having fun with, but that's okay. It's part of the challenge, right? So let's welcome Angela, who's been with me for the fourth week, who's the artist, and let her tell you more about herself because she's just terrific. And hello, Susie. Hello, Susie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Duffield-Warren. I'm an artist and illustrator and graphic designer, but I've also been working with Judy for the past 3 years, and Judy became my mentor and my coach, and she helped me out of a place in my time when I was actually very stuck and uninspired, and I actually couldn't move forward with my life. So this is just to help people. We're getting together to actually help people to be inspired. Possibly they are in, maybe you also are in a very dark place or you're stuck, especially in this lockdown. And Judy and I decided to hop on and collaborate and show people how one can move out of that uninspired place, and hopefully we can help you as we talk together today. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So true. And that, that leads us into, divine inspiration and how do we find it? Hi, Ruth. Ruth is back, my childhood friend from public school that I haven't seen in 40 some years, right, Ruth? And we've all come from that dark place. And a lot of us haven't even begun to explore those dark places yet because they're too scary. And that's part of talking about divine inspiration, because how do you get inspired from the divine when you're in that dark place, right? Yeah. And a lot of people have a lot of fear still right now, even though we can tell this pandemic is lifting for the time being. Not that there wouldn't be a resurgence or whatever. There's still a lot of fear. Like, Wendy, hello. Wendy, I would love to bring you on. Wendy, I'm sending you a Facebook link to, if you're able to come on and join us, for a little while. And as I multitask here, it's so important to acknowledge yourself and where you're at. And I think that's the hardest thing for people, is to acknowledge where they're at in this whole process of, am I afraid? Am I not afraid? Where's my inspiration? How come I don't have any? I'm not artistic. And we've gone through this every week about people saying they're not artistic and they can't draw, they can't paint. So how can they be inspired? And each week we keep telling people that you don't have to be an artist, a painter, a writer, a candlestick maker to be an inspiration to yourself and others. So, let's talk a little bit about you for a minute, Angela, because you have always been inspired to be able to create, paint and draw and things like that and write. But the divine inspiration for you was like literally cut off for years because you were not connected. You were connected to the lower part of yourself, the soul, the negative ego part of yourself that said, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't want to be here anymore, I want to get off this planet, life is no good, I'm struggling, I can't make it, I don't want to be here. And you suffered from that for years. Yes. And you were literally cut off from your divine. And I want to expand on that a little more, because for those of us that have been connected to our higher self, a God power, a universal power, a Tom, Dick, Harry, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, we understand that connection forever lives in our heart. Sorry, I just banged my mic. It lives within us. And when we have that connection, we know how to connect. And Angela's got some angel stories, and I've got some stories of divine connection and light. And I died too as well, so I know what that's like to have that split and then come back. So when we have had and still have that connection, it's something that we treasure and something that we live off of day to day. We feed off it. We have to have it. But when people don't have it, it's because they're in a negative place. And a negative place meaning your belief systems, you've been disconnected, even though you're never disconnected, you're just not tuned in and tapped in. And Angela is going to briefly talk about, that place that she was at, that dark place where she wasn't getting divine inspiration. She wasn't even doing her artwork. She couldn't. She wasn't inspired by herself was being inspired by dark, sad thoughts. And that isn't conducive for a beautiful, inspiring artwork. And she was not connecting to the divine essence of who she is. Because in her mind, she wasn't divine essence. She was lower than the low, right? And Wendy says, I'm out and about. Prescriptions for my roomie today, but I'd love to schedule something for another time. Yay. Yes. Okay. And Summer's here. Hello, Summer. Can't wait to do our Zoom session on Monday again, Summer. You're awesome, Summer. And Ruth again is here, and Susie's here as well. Thanks, guys. So, back to you, Angela, and our talking about divine inspiration, because inspiration, if it doesn't come from the divine, comes from recycled information, beliefs, things that we already have within our system, right? Things that we've seen or heard about, or things that we've done before. Divine inspiration is that connection where we don't always know it's come from the divine, but we sure the heck know it's real, and we sure the heck know it's different, So tell the ladies, briefly about how, when you were disconnected, what that felt like. Where were you in that space?
Well, I think it's when I actually met you, and a little bit before that as well. I had gone into a space of depression and anxiety, extreme anxiety. There were a lot of things that I was experiencing that were making me anxious, especially in South Africa where I live. There was a lot going on politically as well. And it somehow affected me. And what happened was I was basically going through a dark night of the souls. And I didn't know what that meant. I'd never heard of it. And you were the first person to tell me that's actually what I was experiencing. So I had a total disconnect from myself. And that was basically because of trauma, experiencing really negativity around me in my environment, and not understanding that my inner world is actually an expression of my outer world. And so what I was experiencing inside, chaos, drama, depression, anxiety, and it was showing up in my outer world as well. And there were a lot of things that you introduced me to that I didn't really understand. And my inspiration and my divine inspiration was gone. And I think it had been gone for many, many years. Because when you came along and said to me, you're actually a divine being, I didn't understand that. Mm-hmm. And actually, you are an expression of God. And of source, and that I had lost my connection with the universe, basically. And I always thought, I'm a spiritual being, I'm religious, I'm connected. But what happened was that I was actually just stuck. I was stuck in my thinking. And when you said to me that is old belief systems, old paradigms, and that I'm stuck because I keep on regurgitating the same old thoughts, the same old patterns of doing things. And it was right. I was stuck. And I didn't actually know how to break free of those old patterns, old thought patterns, old ways of looking at myself and who I actually am. And I was stuck in thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't move forward. I actually had no tools to actually move forward as well. And as an artist and a creative person, that was like a real destructive situation to be in, because there was no way that I could start creating new things. I couldn't draw new things. And your inspiration and imagination, where does it come from? Where does my imagination, where does my inspiration come from? And I think I had always looked outside myself for my inspiration, imagination. I would go outside, I would draw the things that I would see. I even wrote 2 novels. I wrote 2 books that are published on Amazon. So I'm not a novelist, but the problem is that I had reached an empty stage where I just had nothing left inside of me, that I had nothing left to talk about. I had nothing left to to share with anybody, help anybody. I could hardly help myself. And when you and I had our sessions and we had discussions, I remember having a breakthrough moment, and that is when I did that painting. I did a painting, I cried through the entire painting, but somehow you had broken through to me, and I had found my inspiration again. And the reason I found it was because I had found my connection to myself again.
Yeah.
And you said that. You said to me, you help people to connect to their core self, to their higher self. And I'd never known what higher self actually means. So I don't know if you want to explain what higher self is. And that was my breakthrough moment, was that connection.
Yes, exactly. And you have a story not different than a lot of other people. Yours can definitely be a lot more traumatic than some. And Samar says she keeps repeating in her mind all the trauma and unkind words from my past. And I said to Samar, well, that's because you have a hell of a lot of it. And she does. I would say you have more than the average person, Samar. And that's why it's so prominent, because it's been who you have been for years and years. And you've just started on this journey not too long ago. So, and I said to Angela, because Angela would go, when's this going to happen? When's am I going to have this breakthrough, right? And all my clients say, when is this timeline going to end? When am I going to have this? And there is no timeline. Everything's a process. Everything takes its own time, because this is your personalized journey, nobody else's. And this is why I don't recommend people, no, I shouldn't say recommend. I don't suggest that we live by the rules of workshops and courses and things that are designed to take you from A to B in 10 weeks and you're a changed person per se. Because that puts the stress on you for not following your timeline and your own journey and your own destiny, right? Not that workshops and courses aren't good and can give you tools, but in reference to your own journey, it's like you had no idea what is lurking behind those belief systems and the stuff you have to work through to not only work through who you've been to who you want to be, but the connection to your divine, the connection to your soul, your higher self. And some people refer to that as the connection to God through religion, and which is a whole different Be Live video seminar, because if you're in a religious sector and you have been told that you can connect to God, it's usually you have to go through somebody of a priest or a pastor or something to be able to connect. So that inhibits us from actually letting go and connecting to our divine higher selves and our divine inspiration, which is a whole different story, right? Hey, we've got Holly in here. So back to Samar. There's Holly. Back to Samar. For a minute, how she keeps repeating, well, we talk about default programs, the automatic pilot, you're on the same thing day in and day out, because that is 99% of who you've been. Well, the 1 to 2% of who you are becoming needs to be practiced enough so it starts expanding. So this week it's 2% who you are. Next week it could be 5% of who you are. So eventually what it does is it boots out the old program of I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, things like that. It boots it out because you're putting in new programs, and the new programs start to say, I am connected to the divine. I get divine inspiration. I am worthy. But my gosh, girls, and I'm just saying girls because there's only girls in here right now. This is a process, and it's a story worth written about yourself when you go through it, right, Angela? The story you have, and Holly can attest to this as well. Right, Holly? You can attest to this process as having no timelines to it and not knowing step by step what you're going to feel, what you're going to encounter, what triggers are going to happen for you.
Yeah, triggers are a big thing. I think when you talk about that, there was one thing that I was still experiencing, and it was triggers when people speak to me, when somebody messages me, and you help me to see that you've got to heal within yourself. And when you heal within yourself, you don't get triggered anymore. And also that divine inspiration started happening automatically as I started healing those parts of myself that I needed to heal. And you spoke about a shadow side. Remember, you said your shadow side that I didn't understand what that meant.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Wendy says, I am the most powerful words in the
Mhm.
language. Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. Well, it's powerful in the negative and the positive, though, isn't it, Wende? Because you can say, I am not worthy. I am an idiot. I
Mhm.
am not good enough. I'm too fat. I am never enough. Or you can
Yeah.
say, I am enough, right? So they're powerful
Yeah.
words because when you preface I am, and then what it is afterwards, it changes your life powerfully.
Yes.
That is so true,
Yes.
right? And Holly,
Yeah.
absolutely, and it's still going on. Yes, Holly's been a client of mine for a few years. We haven't talked in a while. She was, went off on her own journey of self-discovery, and we've caught up from time to time. But that's the thing, Holly. It's still going on. Yes, it's going
Mhm.
on forever. There's no end to this journey of divine connection, which turns
Mhm.
out to be divine inspiration, because then you're inspired to do whatever. And I want to briefly say something about this. It isn't about finding inspiration in lockdown to do something as much as it is to be.
Mm.
So the inspiration isn't as much as to find something to do that's inspiring, as much as it is to be yourself and be inspired. And then comes the inspiration to be of service to yourself and others. So being is the number one. And I think we all have a hard time with being who we are because, we don't know who we are.
Yeah,
I
and can
think,
I ask something? I wanted to say, what comes to mind is also expectation.
yeah,
Is I think a lot of the time, we've also discussed this in the past, is the expectation we have of other people, the expectation we have of the outcome of whatever we are creating. And you never know that. Even as an artist, you start creating something and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You don't know if it's going to be a great painting or a great piece of writing that you do. We never know the outcome of something.
yeah,
And it's being able to surrender to that. I think being able to surrender the expectation, because that was a big lesson for me to learn in some of our discussions, was that I had great expectations of other people, and I had great expectations of myself. And you know what blocks divine inspiration is an expectation that is not healthy, or that is just, it's absolutely ridiculous, because you don't know, you can't control what other people say, think, or do.
oh,
The only
sure.
person,
Oh, sure.
hey, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, the only thing you can control is yourself. Remember, and I had so many issues with that. I struggled with that,
You
and
did. You fought me tooth and nail on that for a long time, and I would have a giggle because I knew
yeah,
someday the light would shine through and you'd have this aha moment and go, aha, right?
yeah, I did.
You do have that. We've been built to expect. We have been trained and brainwashed and conditioned to
Yeah,
expect. And it's
yeah.
okay to have an expectation for yourself and the world. So I expect that
Mm.
only good things happen to me, right? Even though I go through a dark shadow, I know that's a good thing because it's showing me what I don't want to have anymore, and where I've been triggered and who I've been triggered by, and a belief that's in there. So that's a good
Yeah,
thing. Because going through the dark shadows and the crying and the pounding of the fists and whatever is a good thing, because on the other side, guess what I come out as? I come out as being more inspired, more assured, more knowing. I let go of that crap. So having an expectation that only good things happen for you is a perfect expectation. But having an
mm,
expectation that others have to show up and be someone different for you gets you into a lot of shit. And we know that.
yeah,
And Angela's
yeah.
got tons of examples on that. So, ladies, I know, thank you for your comments here. And I think I'm going to open this up for a little while, ladies. What do you want to know about your divine connection, or your inspiration, or any other questions? We can just open it right up to that, because I think
Mm,
with us, with divine inspiration, it also maybe have a connotation that you have to be holier than thou to
mm,
have divine inspiration come in, or you have to have meditated for a while for divine inspiration to come in, or you have to be connected to a higher power more powerful than your pastor, or a pastor needs to be have your divine inspiration. We have ideas about what that is. There's a hierarchy to it, when I just want to
yeah,
bring it down into our soul level, into our
yeah,
everyday normal level, that divine means already. Because guys, you're all divine beings. We're all born of the divine. We're all born of the stars. We're all born of that energetic matter, which is the creator, which is the universe, which whatever you want to call it. We're all born of the same, so we're all divine. But we
But you know
forgot.
what I want to just say is, carrying on with that is you always said to me, what resonates with you, okay, that was a new thought to me.
Yeah.
Because that also unblocks your divine inspiration. Because what doesn't resonate with you is not going to work for you. And I had to start becoming aware and making conscious decisions every single day, at every moment, of what I was allowing in my life, what I was doing in my life. And those are the things that unblocked me, is when you said what really resonates with you. The second thing was what is in alignment with you and your soul.
Yeah.
And I had never made choices in that regard. I had always made choices of what I thought was expected of me. I had always made choices of what I thought other people wanted me to do. So I was actually thinking about other people outside of myself the whole time. I was not actually looking at myself, asking myself what resonates, what is in alignment, what do I actually enjoy doing?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Hi, Connie. And so those are the things for me that helped me move out of being stuck into divine inspiration and allowing inspiration in my life. Those were they.
And that's a whole other time and place to do a workshop on, is about not only the expectations, but you mentioned the people pleasing. What others expect, right? That's people pleasing. And oh my gosh, we could do hours and hours on there.
Yes.
Holly says, when I get triggered, there's a lesson I have to learn and heal from. Holly Brooke, you know that. As I say, Holly's been one of my star clients over the years, and she's come a long way. And look at her talking like that now. She knows there's a lesson to heal from. So good on you. And Holly Brooke, I think you need to come on one of my shows and talk about your journey, because you've had some pretty tremendous things happen to you in the way of trust from other people and some financial issues because you trusted other people that let you down, used you and abused you in that way. And I think that would be a good lesson for some as well, right? Wendy says, gotta run, much love. Thanks, Wendy. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks, Wendy.
And good morning, Connie. Good morning, Connie. Good morning, Connie. And so, back to our inspiration, because that I knew this is happening, and this is why we just don't have a schedule per se, because things open up in the way they're meant to. Like we've opened the subject of expectation, people pleasing, belief systems, right? And they all tie into the soul journey, and your soul's journey. And it's never, it's always a messy one, in a sense of being messy, but you see, I don't want to use the word messy per se in a negative way, because that would indicate that your journey is not unique and it's not special and it's not on purpose, right? But it tends to get in places because we have an expectation of how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, we do.
Right? And that's why it gets messy in our minds, because it's like, well, I worked on that already. Why is that coming up again?
It's a control thing, isn't it? When you want to control, we've learned so much control that we actually don't know how to surrender and let go. And that was a hard thing for me, is that surrendering and allowing it to unfold. And it is that soul journey of lessons so that your soul can grow, isn't it? That's actually why we're here. We forget that.
We do forget that we're here to grow. We're not here just to exist. We're not here to work 9 to 5 and pay taxes. And that whole world is collapsing as we speak underneath us. And that's something that's going to surprise a lot of people, that we are really here to be a blessing to ourselves and to others, and to be of service to the community in a whole new way. And when we start to learn this, we start to change our lives and the lives around us. And when I was doing the kindness effect, and Angela knows this, she was my virtual assistant during the whole beginning of the kindness effect, is that we would see kindness rippling out from ourselves to others and around. And people really gravitate towards kindness because it's inherent quality within each of us to be kind. That's who we are at core level. We were born that way, and one of the first things I help people do is help them remember who they are at core level. because we've forgotten who we are. We've been conditioned to work. We've been conditioned to have expectations of people. We've been conditioned to people please, and we've been conditioned and brainwashed to put ourselves last. So no wonder we don't own divine inspiration. No wonder we can't find it. And if there's any message that I and Angela can give, because that's why we're doing these videos, is to encourage you to seek out someone that can help guide you and support you. It's a journey that I have never been on my own, and I wouldn't have been on my own, and I still have my own coaches. And it's a journey that many of us don't find for ourselves. Like, we can't go through it ourselves. We can't see our own stuff. We just can't,
No.
I've got colleagues.
Yeah,
you're right.
I couldn't. Remember, I couldn't see how to fix it. And I needed you to help me, to show me and give me tools. That's a big thing, is that a lot of us go through life without those life tools. And that's why, I needed you, and I continue to have you in my life, is because you still are helping me on many levels, So I agree
and we
with
help
you
each other. Like, Angela helped me with my YouTube banner yesterday. I was so frustrated with it, and I had spent hours, and even though I was doing it by the right measurements they said online, it just wasn't making sense. So Angela and I spent, half an hour figuring it out together. So we are collaborating together on many different areas of life, and that's what I see happening for many, many people, is the collaboration and the sharing, as we let go of the systems that have trained us to be separate. And the biggest lie that we've ever been told is that we're separate, and we're not. We're all one, and that's a concept we hear, but we just don't get until we have that connection to our soul, to our higher self, and then we realize how much we are not disconnected from everything, but connected. And what that does is it changes something within the heart chambers. There is a system called heart math, which is really cool, because the heart, you have 5 brains in the body, and one of them is the heart. The heart operates on its own, and the heart is the substance that is above all other substances. And that's where we are connected. I mean, the first thing that happens when we're born is we take a breath we take a breath, and then our heart starts beating in the normal world compared to being in the womb. But our heart senses everything. And that's something that we have been told to forget. We have been told to do things out. We've been told to be logical. We've been told to follow the plan, which is for women, finish high school, look pretty. Oh, did I say look pretty? Go to college and flirt a little bit. Get a nice little career, right? A hairdresser, a secretary or something. And I say secretary because back when I grew up, that's what they were, secretaries, the clerks. Get your boss coffee. Find a nice man who has a good family, who has lots of money and a good inheritance. Settle down and have at least 2 kids and build your life. Have your vacations once a year. Send your kids away to college and retire and have your home paid off. And I don't know about you guys, like Samar, you're in Australia, Jakarta, right? Well, you're in Australia, but from Jakarta right now. I don't know, but North America has that sort of dream life. And I'm telling you, it hasn't been a dream life for many people, because how many people do you know that retire and end up dying within 2 or 3 years, have a heart attack?
Yes, I've heard of that, yes.
Yeah, right? Like, it's just so common. So we believe this to be the life we're here to do. No, it's a big lie. And this is coming out more and more and more through mainstream media, let me tell you. Mainstream media, the MMS, because people are waking up to, well, this pandemic is helping people wake up to a whole different sense, right? And then the next part of this wake up, besides the COVID and the mass media stuff, is the awakening to oneself. And this is why people like Angela, since she has sort of graduated from her old self into her new self, is why I have her on here each week for the past 4 weeks, is because of her stories and her journey. I mean, you guys get tired of hearing my journey, and I haven't even begun to tell you all of it. But people like Angela, who can come from the place of pure honesty and integrity and say, hey, guys, I wanted to die. I was full of shit. And now look at me, right? And we get full of shit, right? And now look at me, because people can relate to your testimony for sure. And I'm so proud of the people that I associate with, because we've all done not done, but we've done and are doing. So I add both of those in there. We've done the work and we're still continuing to do the work.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, for those that are starting on this journey of soul discovery, of finding your divine inspiration, it's a lot easier when you have the help. It really is. And not only that, it does get easier when you deal with all the bigger issues. Right,
Yes.
Angela? It's not as bad as it was 2 years ago for you.
No, no. And also I can help myself now. In a lot of things and a lot of tools that you gave me, I actually I don't need to come to you all the time and say, okay, can you help me with this? I know what I need to do in a situation when it's presented in front of me. And that has been the biggest thing for me, is having tools to be able to transform my own life. And every day I use them, and every day I work towards the new person that I want to be. And I have to keep saying to myself, who am I authentically? And also being connected to my higher self has really helped me, because it's like I'm now connected to who I really am.
Yeah.
And I don't worry about other people, what they think of me, what the expectations are of me anymore. I have very clear boundaries. And also I'm not giving of myself so that there's nothing left inside of me. And I actually have more energy. And also I love this idea of living an inspired life, because that's actually why for me, is to live an inspired life. Not just to be depressed and work in jobs just to pay the rent. I mean, you've taught me that you can do work and you can get, resources from different places. It doesn't have to be monetary. You can get, and as long as you are living from a place of joy and happiness and vibrating at that higher level, a lot of things you attract and they come to you. It's not necessarily about just the career, just going out and doing the job that everybody expects you to do. So you look good and it's good on your CV, good for your ego. It's about fulfilling something within yourself and living your passions. And you taught me to connect with my talents, my passions. And not only that, but as a person, my growth as a person started to happen. It seemed to have stopped, and I wasn't inspired to do anything. My entire life came to a standstill. So when you taught me to connect with myself again and forget about other people, push all other people's beliefs about me away, and I began to feel really inspired, I started creating artworks that I never thought I could create. And also starting to write and to be more of an open person without limitations. My limits fell away. My limitations as a person fell away when I started becoming comfortable with the person that I am. And you helped me with that. You helped me to connect to myself. And the divine inspiration is starting to flow more, because I don't have blocks. I don't have these ideas of what things need to look like. I allow things to unfold in my life now more than ever. And that's why it's working. Yeah.
Oh, you're a teacher, woman. You're going to be teaching this like OMG. She's going to be teaching this. I have said this before. Natalie. Hi, Natalie. Hi, Natalie. So, okay, I want to talk briefly, I just want to emphasize the point that everything Angela said is about empowerment. She learned to empower herself. Yes, I gave her tools. Yes, I was a mirror for her. Yes, I called her bullshit out, right? Yes, I would present ideas that would make her go away and pound her fist and say, that's not right. How can that be? But she went in and she empowered herself. I didn't do it for her. And that's the thing. When you empower yourself, you are now connected. You are now connected. And Samar has a question here. Samar, why do you think people die after retirement? Oh, that's a good question, Samar. There's many answers for that, and mostly because they're not doing anything constructive anymore. They had an idea that retirement was going to be something, and it isn't. And they come into a world they've never been, and they're not equipped to handle it. And a lot of them, their job was their life, because most relationships are not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not healthy, not
Mm.
empowering and validating to each other, because they were born out of, well, let's just get married, fall in love and get married and have kids. So most relationships are not communicative. They're not validating, and they're not empowering with each other. So when a couple retires, it's like, who the hell are you? I don't even like you anymore. So not only are they having relationship problems, but they're having problems dealing with the fact they're not valued in the community anymore. They're not needed or wanted. And so there's just so many reasons why this happens after people retire, but that's one of them. And usually, it's always because of a disease, and it's always because of a sadness within their heart, that it was something. Because don't forget, I'm going to briefly say this. There was a Freedom 55 plan that was born in North America, and it was called Freedom After 55. Start investing your money monthly, large amounts of money monthly. And at 55, you can take your retirement, or if you don't, your money will be, you'll have more money at 65. But then at 55, you're going to retire in style. You're going to have the world as your oyster. It's going to be beautiful and wonderful. And then when people realize it isn't, they got nothing to live for. So that's some of the reasons in a nutshell, but there's lots more to that as well. Alana's here. Alana
Hi,
is a
Linda.
creative. Oh my God. She's a musician and instrumentalist and conductor galore. Alana says, hi ladies, I'm wondering if creative people are more inclined to be inspired in general. Well, no. Yes and no to that, Alana. Creative people have already tapped into their divine. Creative people go into a trance, so to speak, if they're writing or painting, right? And they're open. They shut out the world when they're creative. So yeah, they're tapped in. They're tapped right in. I had a musician friend that I was going to manage in England and in New York, and he said he would channel people like Michael Jackson when he was in his studio. And Michael would come through and help him with song licks or lyrics or something, and he would channel him in. But he did that on purpose, right? So he knew the connection there. So in general, yeah, they're more inspired in a sense, but not all creative people are if they're not tapped in. If they're trying to be creative and they're not tapped in, people call it writer's block.
Yeah.
Right? Things like that. So, so Alana, I know that you are creative, and I know that you tend to have 1,001 things on the go. So sometimes it might be hard for you to tap in because you're all up here with some of the multitasking things that you've done, or have to do, especially when you're running an orchestra, right? So I hope that answers your question. Alana, thank you for being here. This is cool. And Alana stopped in before, I know that. And Summer, I love when Summer's here and Wendy's here, but she had to go. And Holly, Brooke, I'm glad you're here. And we have another 5, maybe 10 minutes if you want to chat about something in particular, because we've gone all over the gamut today, which I knew we would. Angela goes, well, what are we going to talk about today? And I said,
yeah, every time. We got lots to think about. Yes.
We'll put a topic up there. We'll put a topic up there, but it's going to expand, especially if I get Angela talking about her life and what's gone on, because she's got so much valuable information for you guys and so many transformational tidbits and advice to give you. Like, we've just barely scratched the surface about soul expansion. Maybe that's the name of the book, Angela, for me. Anyway, soul expansion, right? Because it is something that's unique to everybody. Yes, we can all say we've got issues with our parents and the hatred and the anger and the bullying and the torture and the abuse. We all can probably say that to an extent. Some of us didn't. But it goes beyond the generalization of soul expansion and how that needs to happen, right? So,
but also, I wanted to say, if we're talking about the topic of divine inspiration, many people it doesn't have to be about being creative, like we were talking about. It is about tapping into the source that gives you the energy and the willpower and the want to be something that's extraordinary in your own life, I would think.
Yeah.
And that you are not living a life that somebody else wants you to live. And I think that's what divinely inspired means to me, is that you are starting to tap in to the authentic person you are. Because I think most of us, we somehow disconnect from who we really are because we're so busy living life. For our, first of all, as children, you live for your parents. When you're young and you're a teenager, you don't really have that freedom to always be yourself. But when you become a young adult, there seems to be so many expectations put on a person that you have to have this life that you must build for yourself and create for yourself. And very often that's the time when we don't actually have the tools or the knowledge or the know-how because we've never had the experience of living to actually understand, how we're supposed to live. And that's what happened to me, is that I felt lost for a very, very long time because I didn't have the experience or the tools. But as you go along, I met you, Judy, 3 years ago, which is a long time ago, But for me, it's many years of my adulthood that I had lived with being lost and actually not knowing what am I supposed to do in this life. That was my question: is why am I here? Why am I living this life where I live in a world with negativity? But when you help me to connect to me, who I am, my joys, what I love to do, because what I love to do is not what somebody else loves to do.
Mm-hmm.
What resonates with me doesn't resonate with somebody else. And that's where you stop judging others and you stop judging yourself. And when I feel you stop doing that, you can also allow inspiration to come in. Because that is also a block to having inspiration, is judgment.
Big time.
So that's another part of it. Yeah.
Big time. Good. That was great advice. And that's what Summer says too. Angela, you gave lovely tips tonight. My favorite was that you removed all negativity and that's when all good things started to happen to you. Well, yes, when you remove negativity, guess what? The law of attraction is always in action. So when you remove negativity, you stop negativity of people, places, things, and events coming into your life. And,
but it doesn't stop, Judy. It's not like, and Summer, it's not like negativity is completely out of your life. I think I just stopped engaging with it. If I can put it that way.
Knowingly engaging that we have our boundaries, right? And we and that validation checklist sheet that I encourage all my clients is that constantly builds your self-worth, to look back on your accomplishments and the things that you have done for yourself and validate yourself, the synchronicities that have come into your life because of the way you used your tools. What happens when you change your thoughts and you write that down on your validation list. And Summer knows about the validation list because I've encouraged everyone to write one, because we tend to forget to encourage ourselves. And we tend to forget to put those things down that we've accomplished, because this journey is so unique. And I'm telling you, you'll forget those things very easily in the next week, that you actually accomplished something, that you put up a boundary, that you got rid of a toxic person, that you didn't judge yourself, that you took an expectation and threw it away, that you realized you had a belief system and you changed it. All of those things, when you write them down, those are the things that build you up. No one's responsibility in this world is to build you up, but it's your responsibility to build your self-worth up. And so thank you for that, Summer, for noticing that. Angela does have good tips. She, why she does? Because she's lived them. She fought them at first. She fought.
Yes, I did.
And then I would challenge her, and then she would start to live them, and she would go, "Oh my God, guess what I did?" Right. And down it would go on her validation list. And then she would try it again. And then all of a sudden she'd have a boundary down and something would happen. And I'll say, well, there you go. Here's why. And she'll go, oh my God, I'm starting to clue into why that's happening. And that's what it is. It's always that aha moment, that realization of why things are happening to you,
Yeah.
So ladies, we're at our 45-minute mark, and it's been a pleasure again. And Angela, do you want to come back next week and do this again?
Yeah, I love it. And if it's helping other people, and what I'm saying is inspiring people and helping people to break through certain blocks that they're stuck with. And all of it boils down to what you have helped me to do, and that I'm now actually living those things. I'm living all the advice that you gave me. It was very hard work. we have done a lot of work in 3 years, which shows that it's not something that happens overnight. And I continue to work at it. And I have to constantly, whoever I come into contact with on a daily basis, I put into practice the things that we discussed. And you helped me on my unique journey, because I had unique problems, and you helped me with that, which is why I've been able to become the person I am today. And and I'm so grateful you are asking me, and I love collaborating with you. And yes, I will come back if you want me to.
I do want you back. I feel it's important for you to tell your story because you are helping women.
Right.
Yes, I help women as well, but all of these women here have taken some of your useful advice. I mean, Summer, when we do our Zoom talks, she loves what you have said about your journey, and right, so she loves that, and I'm sure these other ladies have gotten tremendous tips from you. And it's always
Right.
nice to see someone that has gone through some of the things that they're beginning to go through, right? So, ladies, I
Yeah.
put in our chat, I put Angela's YouTube site in our chat. I put my YouTube site. I will be moving this video over to my YouTube channel. I will be eventually live streaming from the YouTube channel. And I'm really concentrating on putting a lot more videos on YouTube. So go check it out. Please subscribe to both our channels and hit that bell. And check out some of the videos because I'm being inspirational and motivational as much as I can, as much as I'm led to do, and uploading them there, as Facebook hasn't been the ideal platform for that.
Mhm.
So Alana says, thanks, Judy. Summer says, Angela, you gave lovely tips tonight. My favorite, that's right, your favorite was that you removed all negativity, and that's when all good things happen to you. So let's just leave it with that, with that sentiment, Summer, thank you, that when you remove all negativity, only good things happen to you. And we know that as a fact, right, Angela?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It starts showing up in your life more and more.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll be back again next Thursday at 11:11 to talk about
Yeah.
more inspiration, which always leads to all of these other wonderful topics of discussion. And thank you, Angela. You are dearly treasured and admired and appreciated.
Thank
And
you.
thank you. Goodbye, ladies.
Yeah.
We'll see you
Okay.
again soon. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.